Now that we've laid a little bit of service strategy groundwork by understanding value, where it comes from, how we calculate it, and how we create it, let's move on to our first process in the service strategy book called Service Portfolio Management, here in Lesson 2. We'll continue to build on the concepts we've learned in Lesson 1, so keep that stuff mentally handy. Lesson 2 has two main objectives. First, we're going to learn what the service portfolio is and how it's used throughout the service lifecycle. And we'll also learn the three components of the service portfolio and why they're important. The service portfolio is simply a tool we use to prioritize our investments in IT and manage them for value, just like a stock portfolio. You use your stock portfolio to prioritize your investments in the stock market. If a particular stock is doing great, you'll put more money in that stock. If a stock is failing, you'll pull your cash out. You might even have some stocks that your broker told you about, so you're in the process of investigating them. You can think of your stock portfolio as having three buckets: stocks with money in them, stocks you're pulling out of, and stocks you're just kind of scoping out. And you can use your stock portfolio to prioritize your investments in the stock market and manage those investments for value. Makes sense. The service portfolio is the same thing. Any service provider can have a service portfolio. If you're a law firm, you'll have a service portfolio to show prospective customers so they know what services they can get from your firm. If you're a restaurant, you'll have a menu so your customers will know what they can order. If you're an IT department, you'll have a service portfolio so the business, who don't forget is the customer of IT, will know what you're able to deliver. When taking the ITIL exam, think of the service portfolio as the tool we use to prioritize our investments in IT and manage them for value. In it, we can see all of the services we currently offer, are planning to offer, or that we used to offer. The service portfolio has three sections, and you need to know these three sections for the exam. Planned services, or future services, are in the service pipeline. These are services that we're just thinking about or that are under development and aren't ready for prime time yet. The service catalog contains only the current operational services, meaning the ones that are currently in use. It's the only section of the service portfolio that your average business customer can see, since it's really the only portion they care about. The retired services portion of the portfolio contains all of the services we no longer offer. It's handy to hang on to these services as a lessons learned and also for auditing purposes. Since I like food so much, I like to make an analogy between the service portfolio and a menu at a high-end restaurant. Pretend you're an executive chef at a fancy restaurant and your job is to come up with an interesting and seasonal menu that your customers will enjoy. You have a certain budget you have to work within and you can't go over budget. The menu that your customers can order from today is analogous to the service catalog. The menu that you're going to offer next month when, say, root vegetables are in season is your service pipeline. And the burritos that you offered last year that didn't go over so well, those are in your retired services. So in case you get the bright idea to serve burritos again next year, you can always refer back to your retired services list and remind yourself why you should never serve burritos. Lessons learned. Let's face it, IT departments have finite budgets, so we have to spend our money on the services that the business needs most. This means that we have to understand what the business needs from IT. If the business relies on IT for email, internet access, and web support services, then IT shouldn't be spending its budget on a coffee pot camera that shows us real-time images on the corporate intranet of how much coffee is left in the coffee pot. It's a cool idea, but unless the business warrants it, we shouldn't spend our money on it. Because don't forget, IT exists only to support the business. We use a process called the Service Portfolio Management process to move our services around between the service pipeline, the service catalog, and the retired services buckets. Because this video mentor's purpose is to prepare you for the foundation exam, we don't need to cover the 4 steps in the Service Portfolio Management process because it's not part of the exam requirements. However, you can always refer to the Service Strategy book to learn more. As far as the exam is concerned, you simply need to know the 3 sections of the service portfolio, which again are the service pipeline, the service catalog, and the retired services. And you also need to know what we use the service portfolio for, which is to prioritize our investments in IT and manage them for value. which means make sure that we're spending our money on the things that our customers will find the most valuable.